Three, two, one. Hello and welcome to our first video of covering the Abyss and the Imaginarium Theater. It's 4.7 and they introduced the Imaginarium Theater. Now, I thought they were going to introduce the Imaginarium Theater way earlier than they did, but they didn't. But yes, we've got two combat modes permanently in the game, and they fucking fucked us because the Abyss, instead of resetting every 16 days, or, well, actually it was every 1st of the month and then the 16th, they're not doing it every month, so now it's every 16th of the month, and I was waiting actually to see how it was going to change, because I'm recording this on the 16th, right? And I'm most likely uploading this on the 16th. And I wanted to see because next day is a new patch and a new version. And it was like, are they going to change it because it's the monthly schedule or not? Well, they didn't. So it's appropriate to make the video. Anyways, so yeah, Imaginarium Theater is going to reset every 1st of the month. And then the Abyss every 16th of the month. And that's bullshit. Fuck you, because what they want to do is control your primos, because, you know, that they want money. They want money. Why give you some extra resources by adding the Imaginarium Theater? And, you know, having extra content that will give you primos is a no-go. So, we got fucked. We got genuinely fucked. But, yeah, with this video, since they are both permanent combat content, I gotta cover them both, I guess, right? And I think these videos are appropriate instead of the version review. So I guess let's begin with the Abyss. Let's get that out of the way. So this Abyss was very interesting, a bit annoying, but honestly not so crazy. Let's immediately just go into floor 11. 11.1 was actually pretty scary. Now everybody 100% saw the slimes and they were like, oh, this is gonna be the easiest 11.1, right? Hell fucking no. The pyro slimes on the first half can easily, well, all of the slimes for some reason love to ignore you. They just love that monolith. But especially the pyro slimes, even if you kill them, if they are next to the monolith, they will explode and they will deal a lot of damage. So you need to be really careful of those pyro slimes not exploding exactly on the monolith. In the second half, there's cryo slimes, and every single time they spawn, like the instant they spawn, they will shoot their icicles and just stack damage on the monolith. Anemo, funnily enough, Anemo wasn't the solution. It isn't the necessary solution to this, because I used Venti thinking this is gonna be easy, and then I just pulled all of the pyro slimes right on the fucking center, and the monolith cell just boom, destroyed it. And then with the cryo slimes, sometimes they don't want to be pulled if they have their shields up, and it's like, thanks. So yeah, be very careful actually of 11.1. You can get caught off guard completely because of the damage that these slimes can stack. There's so many of them. There's like 24 on both. Like on each of the chambers, on each of the halves, there's like 24 of them. Genuinely be very careful. Yes, Anemo is still going to be really, really useful, but be careful again not to pull the slimes closer to the monolith and just help them out, instead of, you know, helping you out. So yeah, 11.1, actually pretty scary. I was not expecting that, but it was interesting. 11.2, the first half is 4 Geoviceps on 2 waves of 2. Pretty simple, nothing crazy. While the second half is 2 Hydrophantasms. Not the, I believe it's not the, like, local legend variation. They are mostly annoying because they are non-stop spam attacks and they can stagger you a lot. They also spawn next to each other. The first time they appeared, they spawned on different sides of the arena, which was okay because you could focus one of them and the other one would just maybe send some ranged attacks, which wasn't super annoying. They spawn next to each other, they will not stop attacking. Like, they can easily chain stagger you, and it's super annoying. Now, you can use whatever you want against these. You want to go for Vaporize, you want to do something like Bloom or whatever. There isn't really a crazy strategy, a super specific strategy against them, but just be very careful. It's so annoying how easily they can just stagger you again and again and again and just ruin your combos. But not horrendously difficult, that's what I want to say. And then 11.3 is also very simple. The first half is Fatuis and 2 Ruin Drakes, and then the second half is the chicken, the Dendro chicken. Nothing crazy. Yeah, Like, first half is just on basic enemies, and then the second half is the Dendro Chicken. It's on floor 11. It dies instantly. So, yeah. And then, so yeah, floor 11 is fine. 11-1 is, again, the scariest part, while the other chambers are just pretty basic. Floor 12, though. Well then, 12-1 is the choke point, let's say. Because the other chambers are not as hard as 12-1. Well, hard is actually not the correct word, I would say. Annoying is the better word. In 12-1, both halves have way too many waves of enemies. It isn't just about the amount of enemies. It's how they spawn, of course. Because I can have 8 enemies, right, in a chamber, and if I spawn one, and if I spawn them one by one in different sides of the arena, I'm just wasting your time, right? But if I spawn all of them together, or I spawn them 4 and 4, it's much better. And, you know, the combat designers in Genshin are fucking stupid, because the only way they see hard content is time-wasting stuff and a time limit. So, yeah, that's the main problem of 12-1 in this one. There's so many waves of enemies, all spawning in different sides of the arena. It's just a huge time waster. And the main problem is the second half, where there's a lot of ways with, and especially there's 2 Pyrolectors. Man, if there weren't so many waves on 12-1, a single Hydro character would be fine, but because of all the waves, it's basically impossible without at least 2. The first half in 12-1 starts with 3 Doritos, the ruined Doritos. You don't necessarily need Electro or Dendro to reveal them. They usually go down pretty easily, so they won't get to their invisible stage. So there's no need for Electro and Dendro to reveal them, but you can bring it, because it is the counter. Then there's a single fucking Ruin Guard that spawns on the exact opposite side. Again, it's just a time waster. Then there's 2 Ruin Drakes, the non-flying versions, that spawn next to you, thankfully. They're just to the right of you. And then on the opposite side, 2 Spirit Spawners. Fuck's sake. Like, again, it's all just a time-wasting thing. Fuck that. And yeah, the Spirit Spawners are okay, because they're not on the last chamber, sorry. They don't have that much health. Their spirits don't have that much health, so you can easily kill them and stun them and chunk a bit of their health. And sometimes the Anemo Falcon Eremite that spawns, she might actually use her Anemo Vortex and pull everybody in, including enemies. So it's kind of like free Anemo CC sometimes. Now, I wouldn't depend on this strategy, like baiting the Anemo Vortex to group them up as a strategy to beat this floor, but it can sometimes happen and be very, very helpful. And then the second half is just bullshit. It starts off with 2 Abyss Pyro Mages and 1 Dendro Samature to cause burning, because they have a burning boner for some reason, the last few versions. It's fine. A single Hydro character can easily deal, of course, with these Pyro Abyss Mages, but the bullshit is the 2 Pyrolectors that follow up. They're just bullshit. Again, if there weren't so many waves on the first half, on the first half, and more waves after the Pyrolectors in the second half, just 1 Hydro character would be very much sufficient. A decent Hydro character, like a Xingqiu Yellen, that kind of stuff. But no, because after the 2 Pyrolectors, right on the opposite side of the arena, you got 2 of the Knights, the Wind Knights. It's like, why do these guys exist? Oh yeah, it's because you wanna fuck us. That's what it is. So yeah, you need 2 Hydro characters. 2 decent Hydro characters, else you're not completing this. Now, thankfully, this is 12-1, so you can repeat this chamber many times without, with being able to change your teams without needing to suffer 1 or 2 chambers, right? And just make some sort of mock-up team for these 2 Pyrolectors. I've seen friends of mine that haven't invested a lot into Hydro characters. They just used Nuvilette and Nyayato together just to get Hydro application up. Right, I've used Furina, Xingqiu, I've used some Anemo characters to eat up Swirl, but I tried my best with 1 Hydro character, and then maybe Electro, 2 Electros, a lot of Anemo. It's just not possible, especially with Anemo. You can't Swirl Hydro or something like Cryo, because these are Pyrolectors, and there's Swirl priority. So, unfortunately, yeah, it's impossible without 2 Hydros. Again, make some sort of mock-up team, finish 12-1, and then just ignore it afterwards. Or do the opposite, get whatever time you want, beat the other chambers, and then experiment on 12-1. But again, as I said, 2 Hydras is necessary, and it's absolute bullshit. It would have been perfectly fine with just 1 Hydro character, but the amazing minds that the combat designers in Genshin have, time-wasting stuff is just riddled. The whole 12-1 is just riddled with time-wasting stuff. Anyways, to 12-2. It's very simple. The first half is Mako Kinki. It's a simple boss. And then the second half is a bunch of basic enemies. There's still a lot of waves, but since the first half is just an easy boss, and there aren't any time-wasting enemies like the Lectors, the chamber ends up decently easy. Yes, there are some Kairagis where one of them could heal up, but it's not as time-wasting as a freaking Pyro Lector. There again, it's just a few waves. They also spawn in front of you, so there's no bullshit of running around the arena. So 12-2 is exactly what 12-1 should have been. But no. But yeah, 12-2 is pretty easy. And then 12-3 also contains a boss in the first half, which is Asimon. If you know some strategies, it's not actually needed to bring Dendro and Electro to reveal Asimon. The main way to do this is deal a lot of damage once the boss spawns. Then it's gonna throw out its components, break them using elements, and then just set up every buff you can while it's rejuvenating. And then once it appears, throw everything in, because that is when it takes full damage. I've actually it's not as fast as using Dendro and Electro, sure, but it's still viable. I used like I used the 4 Geo Boys to defeat this, and many others. I think I used the Nayaka team at some point. But yeah, like, deal a lot of damage once it appears, and then break the components using elemental application, and then just set up buffs once the boss appears, throw out everything you have, and it dies. Like, I think the slowest that I completed Asimon with this strategy is like 1.5 minutes, which is not that bad, honestly. Again, for not using the appropriate counter. And then the second half, though, of 12-3, it will look very dangerous and annoying on first glance, especially, as you're browsing through the enemies before you enter the Abyss. But from my experience, it's not the hell that I imagined. It starts with 3 Pyro Fatuis, there's an agent, and then 2 of the Pyro Gunslingers, which, if you can stun them and kill them fast enough, they won't pop up their shields, but if they pop up their shields, bring a Hydro character. Again, these are perfectly fine with just 1 Hydro character instead of the stupid fucking Pyro Lectors. I'm really pissed at them. But yeah, there's 3 Pyro Fatuis, followed by 2 identically built waves of 1 Consecrated Beast and then 2 Fontaine Animals. The first wave is the Pyro Falcon with 2 of the Electro Seahorses. They have a boner for Overload on this one. And then the second wave is the Electro Scorpion and 2 of the Pyro Crabs. Again, Overload for some reason. They're not, again, the hell that I imagined. You should still be careful of the beast, but with some well-timed dodges through dashing or with some burst iframes, it's not that tough, actually. They spawn, both of the waves spawn next to each other, and all of the enemies also spawn next to each other. So even without a lot of AoE, you can actually take them out pretty quickly. And again, because Asimon is on the first half, even if there's plenty of enemies and a decent amount of waves, on the second half, again, the first half contains a boss which should go down in like half a minute or a minute max. The second half is just free for you to do in a decent amount of time. Like, you are allowed to allocate time on the second half compared to 12-1. So yeah, like when I saw the list of enemies, I was like, oh my goodness, this is gonna be hell on earth. But then I played it and I'm like, okay, it's actually much easier. So yeah, overall, 11-1 was very interesting to see and go against, and 12-1 is bullshit. But everything else, while in the enemy list it looks like hell, it's actually not once you experience it. So it's not the worst Abyss I've ever seen, but it still has a lot of annoying elements. Mostly 12-1. Like, the slimes in 11-1 are doable, very much so. But 12-1 is absolute bullshit. So that was the Abyss for 4.7. But we're not done. We've got the Imaginarium Theater. I think, again, this is the best video to cover it instead of the version review. So let's cover Imaginarium Theater. You most likely have heard a lot of opinions on Imaginarium Theater, and well, my opinion is that this mode sucks. It is horrendous. And I don't have really specific notes on this one. I'm just gonna start a giant, I guess, tangent on this mode. Most likely the one thing you've heard about the Imaginarium Theater and its main problem is that it unfortunately does not follow Genshin's main rule of combat. Because the absolute layers and layers of RNG on getting characters really breaks the ability to actually use a freaking team, to build an actual team. And Genshin, from the very beginning, has been designed and crafted in its combat with the idea of having one or two, at the very most, on-fielders backed up by supports. And this just cannot happen in the Imaginarium Theater. You will very much end up with two super hyper carries that need a lot of field time, and then some random as supports, or even sometimes four on-field carries because of the stupid energy system, which would be fine if I was allowed to bring the characters that I wanted. Because the stupid opening cast that is completely random, and whatever MiHoYo decides for the elements, and holy fuck, they put up the worst fucking elements as the first Imaginarium Theater. Why the fuck is it Pyro, Electro, and Anemo? Who the fuck plays Overload? Unless you're playing Cerberus, right, which isn't even an Overload team, you're just forced to bring only Electro and Pyro with her, right? Nobody's playing Overload. Overload fucking sucks. So why the fuck did they think that this was the element combination to give you as the first one? And then they just give you a fuck ton of DPSs. Except for fucking Faruzan and Toma, every other character in the opening cast they give you is just is DPSs. Hyper DPSs at that. DPSs that need a lot of time. And then there's just not enough supports. It's simple as that. You're forced to Anemo, so okay, you're gonna bring, I guess, a Venti or a Kazuha. And then Pyro. What Pyro supports, motherfucker? Bennett is the only motherfucker that is a support, right? And it's general. And then Electro, we just have Electro appliers. We don't really have Electro supports, at most Cookie. So, this whole combination is just ass. I guess they give you, I think the only other two characters you can bring is, Baizu and Al-Haytham. And that's it. And one time you'll make a freaking Quicken team, and that's it. This whole thing was just horrendous. The other buffs that they have, the Wondrous Boons, I think they call them, and the other Treasure Cast, whatever the hang, they are so irrelevant. The buffs are so basic and absolutely irrelevant. And yeah, and also the thing is just completely easy. But there's no other way. If anybody asks to make the Imaginarium Theater harder, it's impossible. Again, the layers of RNG that exist within the game mode, simply do not allow you to have difficult opponents. Even the freaking, they put Coppelius, fuck Coppelius, but they put Coppelius in, the boss, the Icewind suit, and it's hell if you don't have a Pyro character set up. If you use the Pyro characters in the previous, if you used your good Pyro characters, let's say, in the other stages, fuck you, they don't have the energy to go up against Coppelius. It's it sucks so much. Overload. Why the fuck did they do Overload? It's so dumb. Why Pyro, Electro, and Anemo? And yeah, Imaginarium Theater is definitely going to bounce up and down a lot when it comes to enjoyment because of the elemental combinations that are going to appear. If it's a pretty basic one, Hydro, Pyro, and Anemo, because standard Vaporize, it's gonna be it's fine. But then if bullshit comes up and they force you to maybe play Bloom, or again they force you stupid shit like Electro, or fucking Overload of Electro charged maybe. They're not gonna give us Dendro characters and they're gonna force us to play Electro charged without Anemo. Who knows, right? It's gonna suck. And another thing, usually with the Abyss, I go back again and again and again to test a lot of teams because you need to perform well to earn primos, right? And I want to test a lot of teams in order to be able to know how good the Abyss is. Because if I just use a C6 Furina to just steamroll the entire Abyss, it's not really fair, right? So I use a lot of teams, a lot of variety. I go back again and again to test it and give you tips. This was not the case with Imaginarium Theater. Like, take everything away from what I said about the RNG and everything. Playing the mode, I genuinely felt bad. I don't know how to explain this exactly, but I legitimately had no intention whatsoever to go back to the Imaginarium Theater. Like, I thought I told myself when I started playing the mode, oh, I should replay it a few times in order to test out the different combinations of characters and maybe the RNG will be different. But after finishing the mode for the first time, I was like, I do not want to touch this mode. And I forced myself after a few days to replay it, and it felt as bad as it did the first time, even if I changed the teams a bit. Like, it just sucks. Sucks to play. You get kicked oh my god. Like, there's like 8 stages, and every single time you complete a stage, instead of being able to go to the next one, you get kicked to the lobby. It's like, why the fuck can I not just go play the 8 stages again and again and again? Why must I get kicked and then interact with the book again, and then get kicked, interact with the shitty book? Like, oh my goodness. So yeah, like, the main problem of the Imaginarium Theater is the layers of RNG suck. The random elemental combinations that we're gonna get are highly going to change how good or bad you're going to feel playing the mode. And most importantly, of course, it just doesn't follow Genshin's rules of combat. It just doesn't adhere to Genshin's main combat, which is building a good team, a sufficient team, a working team, I think is a better way to say it, with reactions. And they said, oh, we've taken the feedback, we're gonna focus more on reactions. Like, even if you focus on reactions, again, building working teams needs to also happen. There's one really big thing that I want to mention, and that is rotations, right? In Genshin, rotations matter a lot. Being able to find a rotation for a team, which, is using skills in a specific order, in order to balance out the cooldowns and the buffs and just effects, the duration of effects and buffs, balancing all those out and being able to, again, do them in an order which can loop again and again is a very fundamental thing in Genshin, because it genuinely changes how you play the game a lot. It not necessarily how you play the game, but just the enjoyment of it. You want to know why I pulled for Arlecchino, which I still haven't done the review, yes I know. You don't know why I pulled for Arlecchino? Because I played the trial, which they included some actually decent characters in. They included Toma and Bennett, right? Did they do that? No, I think they used Toma, Sucrose, and Xingqiu, right? I don't remember the trial, unfortunately. But I played the trial. I found a really nice rotation, and I knew that I could replicate this rotation with characters that I own, and I was like, I like this. Even if I have Hu Tao, even if I have Diluc and I use them regularly and I've built them really well, I was like, the fluidity of the rotation and just how nice it felt playing the rotation made me pull for the character. And this has happened for a lot of teams. Like, genuinely, a lot of teams that I have in Genshin. Finding a proper rotation in a team really can change your enjoyment of it. I pulled for Raiden, and when I paired her with Tighnari and I found a really nice rotation, I was like, I want to play this. I don't want to play anything else. I want to play this because the rotation feels so nice. So yeah, like, the thing with Imaginarium Theater is that you don't have the time or the characters to build a team and find the rotations that they can use that will make them that will make the team feel playing nice. It's just not possible. Like, even if, again, they focus on reactions, you just don't have the time to figure out rotations with the random-ass teams that you're going to build. It's as simple as that. The whole thing sucks, and it genuinely needs completely rebuilding if they want to, if you want this to kind of succeed. Like, it's genuinely impossible. Again, because of the reasons that I mentioned. And yeah, this mode sucks, and the fact that they took a whole ass Abyss rotation, an Abyss reset, to introduce this crap to, control the primos, sucks a lot. Because again, the mode sucks. So yeah, we get half the content, honestly, now. Because the Abyss was kind of fun. Even doing the resets was fun. Maybe you were trying new teams. But then Imaginarium Theater is a fucking slog. It's so... I don't feel nice playing it. And I genuinely don't feel nice replaying it. I don't know. They would need to do some incredibly drastic changes. Which again, will just turn it into a completely different mode. If they want Imaginarium Theater to... I guess, to change and be, and have some good responses to it. Let's get some good positive reviews, or what can I say? Again, this whole mode sucks. I'm sorry. I know many people kind of liked it, but it's very fundamentally flawed. So, yeah, Imaginarium Theater sucks. I guess we'll see in 4.8 what they do. Or, however they're going to reset it. I actually don't know how they're going to handle Imaginarium Theater resets. But yeah, it all depends. It's so RNG. It's gonna be such a big roller coaster of enjoyment because of all the RNG and stuff. So yeah, that's it. The Abyss was fine, and Imaginarium Theater fucking sucks. And I also want to mention, now that we're ending the video, finally, that there's not going to be a version review. I don't know if you noticed, but from the beginning of this version, they did not give a flying fuck about it. This version is the epitome of dog shit. It's the epitome of we don't give a fuck. Please. The freaking Dainsliff quest. One line completely ruined it all. Once the sibling said, you'll not remember anything that happened in the consciousness realm, this quest went from a 7 out of 10 to an absolute 0, because everything now becomes irrelevant to the main story. I don't know why they are so fucking allergic to giving these fucking sibling MCs any sort of character development, and also just progressing the fucking plot, right? This one line made this entire quest completely irrelevant to the story. It is horrendous. So that's that. The main event was a Clash of Clans clone, which I genuinely did not believe my eyes. But yeah, it was a Clash of Clans clone with no story whatsoever, and it was supposedly the main event. And then every other event sucked. We got Worst Adventurous Trials with, I don't even remember the name of the event, but you just got coins. Yahoo, with characters that aren't made to be used in a platforming stage, right? They reused the cannon, the Croc cannon from the last summer event, Wahoo, and then I don't even remember anything else that they did. I genuinely do not remember any other fucking event that happened in this version, because it all fucking sucked. So yeah, there's not going to be a version review, because it was fucking dog shit. It was very clear, they did not give a fuck about this version at all. And working on Natlan is not an excuse at fucking all. Every version should be enjoyable. This version legitimately felt like nothingness was happening. Thank fuck we had other games to play, right? Other games released during this version, because it would have been horrendously boring to go through this. And it was. But again, it was made up by playing other games. So yeah, no version review, because the devs didn't give a fuck, so I'm not gonna give a fuck. And yeah, Imaginarium Theater sucks. The Abyss was actually pretty okay. And that's it. That's the video. I'll wait the Arlecchino review if it ever releases, I guess. She's not a priority, just so you know. Like, I told you I pulled her because I like the rotation, but I don't care for the character that much. And, her design is... oh boy! So original. So that's why she's been in the backlog. I'm like, yeah, I'll make a review on you one day. And also, they're not rerunning Grizzly anytime soon. Like, I'm gonna use her as a way to fill in the time until they fucking announce Grizzly reruns. Like, seriously, oh my goodness. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you in another video. Goodbye.